That would have been bad.
Okay, well, I'd like to welcome all our members and guests to the Suburban Chicago Apple Users Group meeting, the main meeting here. We're going to have a nice meeting. We've got a couple good presenters. One will be our president, David Ginsburg, and he's going to be talking about the Worldwide Development Conference announcements and have some iOS tips for us. And our second presenter is going to be Dan Wassink of Dan's Tutorials, and I'm going to do an intro for him a little bit later. And the way we're going to run the meeting is that we ask everybody to remain muted unless you have a question, and especially if one of the presenters asks for questions, please unmute and ask your questions. We will have the two presentations, and afterwards I will do a little wrap up on topics, announcements and stuff, and then we will end the recording and go to the afterglow, which everybody, we hope, will stick around and join in the conversation, and everybody would unmute and join in. So let me see if there's anything else I'm supposed to be saying right now. I've got the moderator outline. No? Okay, well, let's move on. We're going to start off with David. So David, please take it away.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, appreciate it. I guess as everybody knows, if anybody that did attend the iPhone Special Interest Group this past Wednesday, we had quite a comprehensive review of the Worldwide Developers Conference, as well as some great iOS tips. We're going to be getting that video out to the membership and put it out on YouTube very shortly here. And Kelly Gomont joined me and had some great tips on there as well. So time permitting, we'll see where we are for iOS tips. But really what I wanted to focus on today, which we didn't focus on Wednesday, is the privacy announcements that were announced during the conference. There was a lot of pretty amazing, I must say, privacy announcements that related to iCloud. And I'm going to share my screen here just to have this up here as a graphic. iCloud Plus was announced. So you have these three things that were that are going to be available, and I'm going to go through some of these as well as some of the other things that were announced relating to iCloud Plus. Private Relay, which is going to be for internet surfing. That's probably going to wrap this up last in the presentation to give a little bit of an insight what that is, how you can hide your email address, and about HomeKit and adding secure video using that as well. So so let's start off with iCloud Plus. And of course, the first reaction to everybody was, oh boy, here we go. We're going to be paying more money for iCloud, right? Well, no, we're not. iCloud Plus is going to, all these features that I'm going to be talking about are going to be included in the in your iCloud subscription. So you don't have to worry about paying anything extra for this. So the first thing that was really, I was really pleased that they added was account recovery. As we all know, we always have a very difficult time getting our account recovered sometimes, especially when you're using multi-factor authentication. I'll give a good example as my mom had misplaced her iPhone, and while she was working in a grocery store, and she realized that when she got home that she didn't have it. So I said to her, okay, let's see what we can do. You have an iPad. Let me go in and get your iPad, and we can get the recovery and look on Find My and find it. Well, she said the iPad wasn't working. I'm like, oh boy. So now here we have a trouble, and trying to get in the passwords and being able to reset passwords was quite the challenge. Well, luckily, the moral of the story was we were able to get the iPad to work. We were able to get the two-factor authentication, send a ping through Find My, and was able to find it. So she's happy and got her iPhone back. So, but what they're going to do with account recovery is you're now going to be able to add a recovery contact list of anybody, and it will call them to give them the code. So now if you don't have a device that can't get the code, you now can add a loved one, you can add a family member, you can add a friend, whoever you trust, and there'll be an alternate contact to get you that multi-factor code to be able to recover your account if for some reason it gets locked out. So I think that was an absolutely awesome thing that they did, and it's going to make things very very much easier to get to things. So
Might be interesting for estate planning too, Dave.
That's the first thing that's a good lead in for me, Bob. Appreciate that. Because I was going to talk about digital legacy. They also announced that as well. And, we've had presentations about your digital legacy. How do you protect yourself as far as getting access to everything that you need? You're going to be able to add someone to their account. And if someone passes away, you'll have full access to their iCloud account. So you'll be able to get to that information and be able to keep their digital legacy. Digital legacy would include photos, would include contacts, any passwords, any of that kind of stuff that's going to be there. You not only including the account recovery part of it, you're now going to be able to set up digital legacy access to this. And this is all going to be in the new iOS 15, iPad OS 15, and the iCloud Plus features that they've been added here. I'm definitely excited to see that Apple's finally realized how difficult it can be, because as we all know, I'm sure many of us have called Apple to try to get access to your account, and then they're not going to help you. In most cases, they say, I don't know what we can do. You'll have to wait 48 hours. Do you have an email? The song and dance you've had to go through with that. So I was very pleased to see that they did this. So, this is another feature that actually was not announced during the presentation, but was announced during some of the developer conferences that most of us probably have not, but many of us did not attend. So, Apple is going to add time-based one-time passwords in iCloud keychain. So what they call it TOTP, it's a time-based one-time password, are going to be codes that you will receive when you add two-step authentication to an online account. Very similar to like a Microsoft authenticator or a Google authenticator. Well, now Apple is going to include this within the device that you can use this and be able to access your iCloud keychain and have an additional layer of support. So if you want to have one-time passwords, if you're giving out passwords for some reason, or if you want to have one-time passwords, you're not going to be able to do that. So I don't know, Bob, did you see this? I know you're much of looking at a lot of security stuff. Did you have any?
Oh yeah, I have the feeling that now it bites away a little bit at one password and stuff. But I think the thing that's interesting about it is that it puts that available at your fingertips on all your devices without a whole lot of hassle. I haven't tried it yet. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if it's in the first beta. So I haven't even gone to try that yet, because that's a major migration to migrate to test it. So, but it's exciting to see that come in. That's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next thing I was going to talk about is actually what they've added to iCloud as far as access to iCloud when you're migrating your device. Now, many of us probably still have the 5 gigabytes of storage, and don't get me started about that, because I think it's not a pleasant thing that Apple can, as big as a company as Apple is, they can, come on guys, you could give us at least 10 gigabytes so we could have a little bit of breathing room and not have to pay for iCloud if we don't want to. But I think most of us are paying for at least the lower tier version, the 99 cents a month, and then you get I think the 20 gigs, and that gives you enough space. But for those of you who get new devices, if you get a new iPhone, they're now going to allow three full weeks of free access to iCloud storage to allow you to migrate your device and be able to restore it from iCloud during that 3-week period. So now you actually can go through and be able to add that back to the phone. And then if you decide you want to keep iCloud, you can. If not, you'll have to either remove it, or when you shut it off, it's going to get reduced down to what size space you have. So that was a pretty awesome thing that they showed. So the next thing I want to talk about with privacy was mail privacy protection. And what that did was, and I didn't even know this, if you saw the conference keynote, that when they talked about when you bring up an email and you open it, there's a little box that says, here, click here to do this. But and they digitize it. Well, what that does is, as soon as you open up the email is going to be able to get your IP address, your location, and what you're doing as far as reading the email. It'll actually tell you to do that. Well, what Apple has done is they've added privacy in iOS 15 that it's going to allow you to be able to turn that on and protect your email. So anytime you open up an email, everything will be anonymous now. So they won't be able to do that. Mass marketers are very famous for doing things like that, because they want to be able to track clicks and be able to track what that person's doing when they read the emails. And this is a welcoming thing, and just makes me even more pleased that Apple has done a good job of being from the forefront of privacy. So you will have that, and that's just a simple turning on, turning off. And of course, as iOS 15 comes out into the wild, and then when we get closer, we're going to have lots of stuff to review and how to set all these things up. So in addition to emails, they also have added a hide my email feature, which allows you to be able to create a random email address, and you can set one up. It could be whatever you want to call it at iCloud.com, and not have to share your email address with that person. And you can turn it off at any time once you've used it. And the good thing about it is, if you want to use it for, let's say you want to subscribe to a newsletter, but you don't want to give out your email address because what's going to happen. They're going to get your email address and they're going to start sending you more stuff. Well, now you're going to be able to create a non-public email address, give it out. You'll still get the email, but then you can shut it off at any time once you're done with it. So, and that's disposable, and you can do that many times as you want. They also added HomeKit features within iCloud for HomeKit secure video. If for those of you who have security cameras, if you want to, and they are compatible to HomeKit, you will be able to now have unlimited cameras that are hooked up to iCloud, and it will not go against your storage. So if you have like a Ring or any of those other ones, I'm not sure if Ring is compatible with HomeKit. I don't think it is, but if there are other cameras that you have out there that give you access to your cameras for your home for security, now you're going to be able to store all that video on iCloud, and it will not go against your storage. And thank you, Randy, in the chat. Yes, 50 gigabytes for 99 cents a month for iCloud is worth every penny. So if you aren't doing that, please do it. Other thing they added, before I'm going to go into the last topic, which I really want to spend a little extra time on, is iCloud Plus is now going to let mail users personalize their email by using a domain name. Later in the fall, they haven't really given any specifics yet of how you're going to be able to do that. But for those of you who have your own domain, you're now going to be able to register, put that domain in, and register it within iCloud, and utilize all these privacy features by having your personal domain in place of an iCloud.com domain. So you're going to have that. You're going to have that access to be able to do that. So I'm pretty excited to play around with that as well too. So. And then the last topic here on privacy, and I guess I want to see where our time goes, and if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or definitely let us know that you have a question here, is the relay, let me bring it up here. My apologies. The iCloud's private relay. My friend and many of you probably watch listen to this podcast is Dave Hamilton. He wrote this pretty amazing article about, I'm going to share this on my screen here so you can see it. Amazing article, and really dug into what Privacy Relay is. And what Privacy Relay is actually it's allowing you to be able to work very similarly like a VPN, but you don't have to have a VPN turned on. You're going to be able to route all your traffic through other servers, and it hides your IP address. It hides the websites you visit. It hides your traffic from whoever manages your local network. And where it differs is just going to be one way of the way the website goes through, instead of it going through a VPN, and not have to pay for a VPN if you don't want to. So if you look at this diagram here, it actually showing from the client, you're accessing your network. So it's got these two the first server is the Apple server. That's an ingress proxy. So what a proxy is a place that kind of hides everything that goes on in the network, and it allows you to be able to Apple to be able to hide it, and they don't know what this information is. They keep this completely secure. Then it goes out to another. Then it goes out to two other servers and gives you the options to hide it even further until it gets to the server that you're trying to go to. So they've done this. As far as this goes within iCloud Plus. So you have to be an iCloud subscriber to be able to access this, and very similar to some of the other funky networks that are out there. And I'm not going to talk too much as far as what those are, because that gets kind of geeky. But it is fast, and you're not going to notice any any slow speeds, and you're going to and it's going to work from what they're saying. Now, what is included in iCloud Plus? As I said, it's going to be iOS 15, iPadOS 15, as well as macOS Monterey. The private relay will be enabled, and the traffic will be all Safari browsing. So you have to use Safari, which Safari we talked about has a lot of enhancements. Any DNS queries, so meaning that it's going to be that whenever you query a website through the domain name service, it tells you what the name of that site is. It's going to be private by going through there, and most app traffic that it goes to insecure websites, and the common, what they call port 80. Everybody hears that number all the time. That's the common port that we all use to surf the internet and go onto the internet, is going to be protected in private relay. The things that isn't going to be included in private relay is going to be like if you have any local traffic from within your network. Again, that's probably a little over from what most people do, but that's not going to be protected. If you have anything private, like a private domain, that's not going to be included in that. Any VPNs, proxies, and other network stuff, that's not going to work. And then secure HTTPS traffic from your apps aren't going to be included, because those are already secure. So they really aren't going to they're really going to go through and be a big thing here. So, and here's actually some of the screenshots that Dave put in here as far as how you can adjust IP address locations. And here is, you can preserve the approximate location right here, which you check it off. And then you check the public IP address, and what he did, this isn't your IP address. This is a different one. So this is anonymous, so they don't know where you are. And a lot of the questions were too, will it make you browse slowly? It could slow things down a little bit, but is there really anything you can know? He hadn't seen any negative effects against that. Again, we're in beta 1 right now of iOS 15, so that's going to take. I think it's going to take a little time for us, for those of us are on that have beta on some of our devices, to try it out. But this was a great intro to understanding that, as you really see, Apple is doing a great job of doing an extension to privacy. So, was there any questions out there about privacy? Nothing? Okay. Couple of the features I want to talk about a little bit, that, and I did talk about this before, and it's still standing out to me now, is the live text that they added in iOS 15. It's pretty amazing. And then I'm going to talk about, I don't think I really spent a lot of time as far as compatibility to what devices are going to be compatible with iOS 15 and iPadOS 15. I believe tidbits. I just happen to be on here. Here we go. Josh Centers did a great right up here. This is going to give you just a really good view of what's going to be, what versions are going to be compatible. I was talking about this on my podcast too, about it's just pretty amazing how Apple has done such a great job of keeping devices current with newer iOS releases, because it goes all the way back to 2016. You got that. That's 5 years ago or 6 years ago, 5 years ago. So a device that's 5 years old. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, the iOS, the 6S is 2015. So that's 6 years. So a device that's 6 years old is going to be compatible to iOS 15. So basically, the iPhone from current models all the way down to the SE first generation. So if those of you still have the SE first generation, you're okay. You're going to be able to. Use it, as well as if you have an iPod Touch, only the 7th gen. So anything before that that's been end of life for a while. So basically, what they did was anything that's running iOS 14 now is compatible to iOS 15. Now, I got to take into account here as far as some of the features that were announced today. Stuff like live text and some other things that are more processor intensive. In this grid here, it's going to be the iPhone, the 10R, the 10S, and the 10S Max is the starting point where those features are going to be available to be used. It's because the processors are just too slow in these older models that it's going to work. So just be aware of that when it comes to when you do update. So, but I think that's pretty awesome. Now, if you go down to the iPad also, they did in the last release, it wasn't all of iOS 14 in this case, but they did a good job of allowing a lot of the devices. I'm running the iPad on iOS 15 beta. I have the first generation iPad Pro 12.9 inch that I'm using, which is, it's pretty old. It's I believe that came out in 2015. So it's 6 years old. So, and it's running it's running actually pretty fast considering, probably it seems a little faster than it was on iPad OS 14. So that 12.9, that's a first gen. In the iPad Pro, you have 11 inch, which is all the generations from 2018 to current. And then you have the iPad Pro 10.5 inch, the 2017, when that was released. And going all the way down the line, it's covering all the 5th through 8th gen iPads. Those are the lower end iPads, which are still perfectly good iPads. And then you've got the iPad Air, the Air 2, which was a 2014. They're still supporting the Air 2. So again, that's an old processor, A8X. So it's probably going to be the same thing, not having a lot of availability for some of the features that are being offered in iOS 15. And then you have all the others, the 3rd and 4th gen. And then the iPad mini, you have the 4th and 5th that's going to be available as well. So, and he outlined it here in this is a Tidbits article. I'm going to put this article in the chat here so everybody can go back and refer to this. And here was all the mentioned stuff here. Some of the features that require the 10R or higher is the spatial audio, the all new city experience with maps, the live text in for the camera I talked about. The visual lookup, if anybody isn't familiar with what the visual lookup is, I haven't had a chance to really try it much, but I'm excited to get out in the wild. You actually can go to a location, take a picture of it, and it'll know where you are, not by using the GPS, but actually visually looking at something, not necessarily where you are or what. Another example is a dog. You can take a picture of your dog, and it could be visually looking up what the dog breed is by looking at it. So they've added some features to that. Siri has on-demand processing, and of course, I didn't even mention that with privacy with Siri. Siri's on-device processing is going to be even more private. It's going to go local. It's going to stay just to your device. It will never go out, and gives you the opportunity of being able to keep things on device dictation, continuous dictation, makes it faster for getting you results, as well as staying private. And it definitely was a good thing here. So, but all in all, I'm pretty excited with it. Again, it's beta, so it's right now only developers. If you have a developer account, can access it so far. So I would say majority, if not all, most of us here do not have a developer account. So you will not be diving in this. But I always tell people don't install beta on your primary device. I don't recommend it. My friend Warren does it all the time, and that's on my podcast, and I always tease him about it because he just loves living on the cutting edge of potential disaster, especially when it's on your iPhone, and your iPhone is your daily driver primary device. So iPad, you might you might think about it a little bit, but again, if you use it a lot, I probably wouldn't recommend it either. So, but the public beta is going to be out, and if you dare, it's going to be out in July, and you'll be able to access that and be able to have access to that as well. And with that, if there's any questions, and then I'm gonna wrap up here.
Hey, Dave.
Yes. Hi, Mike.
Can you hear me
Michael?
okay? Hey.
I can.
Yep.
Hi, Michael.
Sorry. Hi. Sorry. I had some login issues earlier today, so forgive me. You know, I keep hearing you mention about, you know, log in with your iCloud account. Now, are we keeping, what extensions is Apple keeping? Because we have Mac.com, I think we have some old iCloud.coms, we also have some me.coms. Are we going back to the iCloud.com, or are we sticking with the Mac.coms, or is there just like everything's a free flow Wild West?
Good question. Nothing's changing. I have a Mac.com email. I have a me.com email. I've got the iCloud.com email. They're all the same, so they won't change.
Thanks.
So that will not affect that at all. Yes. Any other questions? All right. I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation, and I'll throw it back over to Jeff. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dave. That was very informative. I know that there might be some people out there that are disappointed that Apple didn't make any hardware announcements, but they certainly had a lot of great software announcements.
Yes. I'm not surprised about hardware either, because it is a software conference. They have announced hardware in the past, but it's I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, people are just antsy to get to the new Macs. But all right, well, at this point, I'd like to move on, and we're gonna have Dan Wassink come up and do his presentation on Apple TV insights and tips and tricks. I'm very excited to introduce Dan, because I've been using Dan's tutorials for a few years now and really enjoy it. Dan is the owner, trainer, and just about everything for Dan's tutorials. He's created over 1,400 lessons on how to use the Mac, the iPad, the iPhone, the Apple Watch, Apple TV. And these lessons are great, folks. They really help you out. He's personally been working on a Mac for over 30 years. He started out in the magazine publishing industry. He then went to work for Apple as a genius. Dan, I'm a former Apple employee too. So he's been helping people on a daily basis with their devices, and he decided to go out and develop his own tutorial system. So he offers them through online and through the App Store. He quit Apple, and so did I, and hasn't looked back. But he also helps out at a local private school, and that is all Apple-based, which is great. And he has helped many thousands of people really just learn how to use their Apple products more thoroughly through his tutorials. And I often go there because there's so many different things on a Mac or an iPhone, an iPad, and you just forget how to do something at one point. So I just go to Dan and say, Dan, how do you do it? Well, so Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll let you go ahead. Thank you, Dan.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I sometimes have to refer back to my own tutorials as well, because I forget how to do stuff. Like, oh, I didn't know it did that. You know, preparing for this, I created a tutorial on Apple TV. I had to go back. I have the manual pulled up here. It's like, you know, when you don't use everything every day, you just can't remember. So, yeah, so I'm Dan Wassink, and yeah, my site, Dan's Tutorials. I do, as Jeff said, I do have some apps in the App Store, but those are slowly disappearing. Apple really frowns upon tutorials in the App Store for their own hardware and software. It's an unwritten guideline. So whenever we submit anything such as screencasts online, you know, MacMost, and, you know, all of us have apps in there, but if you look at them, there's nothing relatively new. Every once in a while, somebody will slip in an update, but Apple really frowns upon that. They want to have control of that information. So I just want to clarify that pretty much everything new is on my site now. I mean, I'd like to get back in the App Store, but I just had a quote. It's now, you know, I know enough to be dangerous, and when I left Apple, I had a friend that could do some coding, and he helped me out, and then I take it from there and put the graphics in there and this, that, and the other, and it worked out well. But the App Store is a little different animal than what it was, or developing or creating an app is a little different than what it was 10 years ago. And I had someone quote me, to do an app of my site, which is a WordPress site, relatively simple in the website world. And he quoted $20,000. So it's like, oof, okay, I'm going to hold off on that. So yeah, you can find all my stuff on Dan's Tutorials. But that's enough about me. Let's get down to really what we're here for. What I'm here for is tell you a little about Apple TV. How many people here have? Well, let's see, it's all screenshots, so I'm not going to see a raise of hands. But I'm assuming most everybody here probably has an Apple TV. I personally have an HD, so it's probably 3 or 4 years old. Oh, somebody, okay, 3. And because I have a plasma TV. I do not have a 4K TV or anything like that. I love my plasma TV. So my HD just works fine. But what I did, I'll start out with this, because I just did this week. If you have an Apple TV, the single best thing you can do is go out and get this guy. I can't tell you how much this is better than this thing, which has black tape on it, so I could feel where the upside, all that, and it's night and day difference. I spend a lot of money on Apple. This is probably the best $79 I've spent on a product, and I can't tell you how long. And I know Johnny Ive has got to be freaking out. I mean, this thing's got some meat to it. It's it's not real thin, it's heavy, it just feels great in your hand. And what my biggest problem with this is, it's all nice with the swipes and all that, swipe with your finger, but I always frustrated with, I use subtitles. My hearing's not the best, so I always turn on subtitles. So what do? You swipe down from the bottom to get to the subtitles. Well, I'd have to do that 2 or 3 times. I've had this thing for years. I'd have to do that 2 or 3 times, even to this day. Well, with this guy, you can swipe down. It is a swipe, but all you have to do is just click on the bottom there. It's a physical button, not the haptic. And I love the haptic stuff, but just you have the lights low while you're watching a movie or anything like that. You know exactly which orientation this thing is in, and you can just sit there and go to a button without even knowing, without looking at it, kind of thing. So if I can say anything, I will say that anything that I say today, your best bet is to get this guy. It's just phenomenal. And it works with older Apple TVs. Like I said, I have an HD Apple TV. It's probably 3 or 4 years old. I think they've come out with 2 different generations since mine. Works fine with it. The Siri buttons on the side, Siri works great. Yeah. It's a good purchase. So on the Apple TV, what I'm able to do is I'm able to share my Apple TV. It is in the other room, but through the magic of QuickTime, I can actually share my Apple TV. So I can actually show you some of these things that I've learned, and some of you will know them. Maybe some of them you won't. Some of the stuff I'm going to talk about, but I can actually show you live on my Apple TV. So what I'm going to do is share my screen and pull up my QuickTime, and there's my Apple TV. Everyone can see that, correct?
Yes.
See the stargazing? Okay. So that's the screensaver. So I'm going to start out with, while we're looking at the screensaver here, let's just start out with that. If there's a lot of different screensavers that Apple provides in here, and some of them, if most of them, are really, really cool. But you really want to know where they're at. What location is this? What part of planet Earth am I looking at here? Well, all you really have to do is just take your remote and tap on the touch pad, and over in the bottom left, you're going to be able to see where it is. So now when you're looking at one of those screensavers and you're wondering where it's at, tap, This is over Southwest Russia, passing by Kazakhstan. Hopefully I said that right. But that's all you have to do when you're looking at your screensavers. When you're looking at your Apple TV, if you want to get back to the screensavers, now this will turn on after about 5 minutes. The screensavers will. Let me see. I'm going to move this thing out of the way here. There we go. If you want to get back to your screensavers, what you can do when you're looking at your home screen here, this, with all of your apps and everything else, if I swipe up, let's try it again here. So I'm looking at my home screen here. If I hit the back button, now this remote, the silver remote, has an arrow that's pointing to the left. So that's the back button. I believe on, if you have an older remote, it's the menu button. When you hit that, what it does is it goes back. And when you're looking at the home screen, it'll go back to your screensaver. So that's how you can easily, if you're leaving somewhere, like in my case, especially with a plasma TV, you don't want to leave it on a certain screen for a prolonged period of time because it'll get burning. LCDs are not so much, but plasma TVs, it was an issue. So you'll want to bring it into the screensaver if you're leaving for a little bit. I think I have mine set for a relatively short period of time, so I don't do it too often, but you can always go back to the screensaver by hitting that menu button or the back button a couple of times. You want to see where this one is? You tap on it. This is in Hawaii. So you can set, probably most people don't do that because they really do have some nice screensavers, but you can set what screensavers you are looking at by going to your settings app here. If I go to general and then you go over to screensaver, let's see, I got zoom in my way. There we go. Right now it is set to aerial, and it's just going to be a number of different aerial shots from Apple, but I can go and set it to my own photos, Apple photos, anything that you want. I generally like to leave it at Apple's. I think they're really beautiful. But if you want to, it's not a bad idea. Right now, with everyone taking photos, with the iPhone having such a good camera, we probably take far too many photos and we never really look at them. What you may want to do is just put it on your own photos, and then you can, when your screen goes to sleep or your, Apple TV goes to, save the screen a little bit there, it'll play your own photos. So then you get another glance at your photos. What you may want to do is put it onto your favorites. You can go in here and say, what I do with my photos is I always go through them and look at my favorites. So these are my favorites. That's my niece. That was my mom in Key West. And so what it'll do is it'll play those photos, on my screen when the screensaver turns on. So then you always have another way of looking at your photos. You do have, different themes here. So from here, what you can do is set which types of themes you want. I, again, leave it on all because they're all really pretty good. But if you just, let's just say you're a scuba diver, maybe you just want underwater type stuff. Or, if you live in Chicago, the big city, you might want to have just cityscape type stuff. So you can do that as well. Again, I just leave it at all of them. You can have it download new videos on a weekly basis, which is what I do. You can see mine start after about 5 minutes, and that's just because I have a plasma. With a LCD, you don't have to worry about that too much. Show during music and podcasts, I do again, because with the music and podcasts, it just shows a still image of who's playing. So what I wanted to do is, you want to have your pixels always moving on a TV. So, and then you can preview them. So that's, a little bit of, how the screensavers work and what you can do with those. Let's look at my notes here. Let's take a look at these apps here. Now, most of you probably know you can move these around. It is just like the iPhone or the iPad. If I hold down the select button on any one of these, we get our jiggle. And now I can move these around. Now with this new trackpad, I don't see if anybody's looking at my picture as well. What's really nice about this now, when I swipe, as everyone knows that has a swipe, what it does is it goes, I'm just doing one swipe and we can see it's going from one end to the other. Well, how do I get it in the middle? Maybe I want it in between Showtime and Stars. I have to sit here and, frog around with it. Well, what you can do with this new remote is just click on the left and right side and it moves up. I can actually, so not swiping, I'm actually clicking and I can easily move it where I want. Once I have it where I want, you just hit the select button and it disappears again. We can also move them into folders. As some of you know, here are my games. To move them into a folder, we have a couple of different ways. I have here, let's see here, Fubo is more of a sports kind of thing. And I want to move that into my sports folder, which I have, is it up here? Okay, it's down here. Oh, it's right above it. So my sports. So tap and hold. And what you have to do is you have to drag it on top of that other folder, which can be a little tricky by swiping. But so I have to move it on top and now it'll move it in there. To move it out, I just swipe. As I say, it gets a little tricky, but there's an easier way of doing that. What you can do is hit the play pause button. When I hit the play pause button, it gives me the option to delete it. This is how you would delete an application. But also what I can do is move it to a folder. So if you're not, the swiping can get, it's a nice idea, but it doesn't always work well in implementation. So what you can easily do is now get it into that jiggle mode. Let's see here. We'll go with another one here. Let's just go Fox now. I don't know exactly what that is. So let's just say it's news. I tap on the play pause button and now I can move it to news. And it's in news. If I want to create a new folder, now some of these apps you can't get rid of. I don't listen to podcasts on my TV. So I want to get rid of this app here. This is an Apple app. Well, when we go to the play pause button to delete it, oops, I try it again. I hit the wrong button. Play pause button to delete it. What I'm able to do is create a new folder. So this is what I will usually do. Actually, on my iPhone and my iPad, I do this. Here's my new folder. Now what I want to do is I want to rename this. So I tap and hold on the name up at the top. Come on, you can do it. Not gonna let me do it here. There we go. And now I can rename this. So I could name this, not apps not used, apps seldom used. Actually, what I do on my phone, because I do use some third-party apps, I have, and Apple has so many apps, as we all know, and I just put them all into a folder called Apple. So what I could do is I could just call this Apple. So you can spell it out here, which can get tedious. You have to swipe back and forth. The beauty of the remotes that have Siri is you can actually dictate to it or spell it out or just say it. So I'm going to say Apple here. I just hold in on the Siri button. Apple. And there it is. Put it in there. So now I can hit done and it'll go in there. Well, maybe I want it to be Apple Apps. I hold in the Siri button again. Oops, I let go too soon. You got to keep holding in the button. Now it's getting me there. Let's try it again. You can do it. I think you got too much of my speaking there. But as you can see, you can dictate to it. Now, when you're typing in a password, what you can do is actually spell it out. So let's say your password was, the worst password in the world, password. You could actually just go PASSWORD. Or if you capitalize something, capital PASS, capital WORD. When you're typing in a password, and what it'll do is it will put that in as a password. So let's try this again now. not doing it yet. Okay. You get the idea of how that works. So it's an easy way to organize your apps and keep them all, because as with the iPhone and the iPad, as you start downloading apps, I did cut the cable. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end, you know, the advantages and the pros and cons maybe of cutting the cable. When you cut the cable, all of a sudden you end up with a lot more apps than you ever thought possible. So it's nice to organize them. And that's how you can easily organize them. When you are with the Apple TV, you have a control center. This is probably something that a lot of people don't know. The control center will give us access to multiple users. The Apple TV does support multiple users. Screen flow, okay. The Apple TV, sorry, I had a dialogue come up on my computer, supports multiple users. You can switch speakers. If you have Apple's HomePod speakers, the old ones that they discontinued, or even just the new mini ones, you can now use those as stereo with your Apple TV. And you can tell the Apple TV to broadcast to that. And the way that you would do this is through the control center. So how do you get to the control center? Well, all you have to do is just hold down the TV button on your remote, the one that has a picture of a TV on it. When I hold it down, I have to keep holding it down. If we look over to the right, we have a control center. And now what I'm able to do is easily search. I have search there, so it'll take me right to search. Here's where I can control my speakers. So I can put it to my TV speakers. I have a Sonos system. I can put it to my dining room. I do have a HomePod mini. And then I can also just put it to my MacBook Pro. I go back and it takes me back to my control center. I also, if anyone's using HomeKit, I can also access my my HomeKit, my favorite scenes, basically. It doesn't give me complete access to HomeKit. HomeKit is where you can control different devices in your house, much like Alexa. So here, when I click on this, what I'm able to do is turn on the TV or use the TV scene. I can open, we have blinds that open and close automatically from IKEA. They're HomeKit compatible. So now what I'm able to do is open up the bedroom blinds. And then I can also set the thermostat and I can close the bedroom blinds. So these are just the favorite scenes, but you're able to access them from your control center. If you're playing something, you can play it. This is also where you can access your picture-in-picture. The Apple TV does support picture-in-picture. Now, I couldn't get this to demo, and I think it's because I'm using AirPlay to broadcast it on my computer so everyone can see it. Also, you know, copyrighted material, you can't, it won't allow me to put it on this computer because it thinks that I'm recording it. So I wasn't able to find any kind of source that allowed me to demonstrate the picture-in-picture. But basically, this is, if you're using picture-in-picture, you can access it here. And when you're looking at a video, to access, to turn on picture-in-picture, all you have to do is just tap the select button. You're going to see your play bar. And when you're looking at your video, if it supports picture-in-picture, not everything does, it's up to the app really. When it supports, if you swipe up, you're going to see a little picture-in-picture icon. When you see that picture-in-picture icon, what it'll do is it'll move the picture into the lower right-hand corner by default, I believe, or it might be the upper right-hand corner. And then you're able to browse around. You can even play a game through Apple's Game Center while watching the video. So the Apple TV does support it, but unfortunately, I was not able to demonstrate that. I'm going to pause. Let's see here. We're going to stop sharing. I like to look at the chat in case someone has any questions as let's see here. Where's my chat? Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh yeah, somebody said not left-handed friendly, the new remote. I have read that. I'm right-handed, so yes, I wouldn't know that. Is it similar to the remote? Is it similar to the quick click wheel? Yes, it is. And as somebody said, you can swipe through the aerial scenes. just by swiping back and forth. It's really, it works, behaves the same way as the old remote with the swiping and all that, but you have the, it just feels, you have that ring that goes around there. It just feels a lot better than in your hand. And it seems to be less error prone as you're browsing around. So, all right. Let's see here. We'll continue on. Let's talk about multiple users. So as you saw, when I go to the control center, again, hold down the Apple TV button or the TV button, you're going to see I have multiple users up here. Troy is actually my first name. I set up a dummy user, Troy, and then I have Dan, and then I have Dan's tutorials. To switch between them, all you have to do is just select what you want. So if I wanted to go to Dan's tutorials, what it will do is it'll switch now, and it's going to take me to Dan's tutorials. But if you look, nothing changed. So what is it actually doing? I still have my same folders here. It didn't really change anything. It is not like a multi-user that you'd see on the Mac. It is not a completely separate user. Basically what it does, from what I understand, I don't generally use the multiple user on here. It's just Beth and myself at our house. But essentially what you are able to do is set up the Apple TV app. This is going to be separate. So if my wife was watching, she would have what all of her up next is right down here. I'll talk a little bit about this app in a little bit, but she would be able to see what's next on the shows that she is watching. When I switch back to me, so I'm going to switch back here. You're going to see we have Home Before Dark, Mythic Quest, Trine, Lizzie's Story. I'm going to switch back to me now. Hold down the TV button, and we're going to go to Troy. You're going to see that the up next in Apple TV is going to look completely different, because it's bringing up stuff that is up next for me. So that's where the changes come into play. It's pretty much with this app, which is the Apple TV app. Also, what you are able to do is apply restrictions to each user. So if you have children in the house, what you can do is apply restrictions to their users. So when they switch to their users, they will have restrictions. Now, what about the idea of, well, all the kid has to do, any child, they're as smart as we are on these things. They just hold down that TV button and switch back to your user, and then they're under unrestricted content. Well, when you add another user and you add restrictions, you do have to add a passcode. So that's how Apple's protecting that. So what you can do is switch it over to your child's user. If they want to switch back to your user to view unrestricted content, they're going to need to know what your passcode is. So that's how they're getting around that way of people switching just on their own kind of thing. So to set up your users, what you do is go to your settings app. You can also do this through the home app on the iPhone, but basically just go to users and accounts. Here's where I can switch my current user, just like going to the control center. I have a default user, and then I have my additional users. So here I would click on add new user. I can sign in manually and create that. And then if I want to add restrictions to it, I would go to general and add restrictions, type in a passcode, and then that new user will have restrictions to it. Pretty simple how it works with multiple users, but it is not, I think the big takeaway is it's not like what the Mac is, where you completely have different home folders and things like that. Basically what it does is just changes the restrictions, and it changes the Apple TV, the app. So let's take a look at that Apple TV app. Go back here. When you are in an app, let's see here. I'm going to go to Netflix here. When you are in an app, when you hit the TV button on your remote, by default, what it's going to do is it's going to take you to that Apple TV app. The Apple TV app is what you can find. I hit the remote button and you can see it. It doesn't take me to the home screen. It takes me to that Apple TV app. This is also the same app that you will find on many new TVs. My mom just got a new LCD TV that has Apple TV, has the app, not necessarily Apple TV. We can't download new apps to it like we can with the Apple TV. You have to do that through the TV itself, but it does have this particular app. If it's one thing that gets confusing is we have Apple TV, the Apple TV app, and then we have Apple TV Plus, and it can get a little confusing. Apple TV Plus is Apple's version of HBO. Apple TV is hardware. That's what we're talking about here, the actual box. And then the Apple TV app is this one over here on the left. The Apple TV app, what it does is it will pull, when you're watching something, let's say I was watching something on HBO. I'm watching a series on HBO. I'm done watching an episode. What the Apple TV app will do is communicate with that app, the HBO app, the Hulu app, Prime Video, and it will put it into this up next. If we look here, you're going to see up next here. So I just finished watching an episode of Yellowstone last night, and now it's ready for me to watch the next episode. All I have to do is just click on this and it will open it up in the Paramount Plus app. Here, whoops. Let's go back over here. Down here, we have, this is a movie that I started watching. We can see it's on HBO Max. Home Before Dark is a show that I started watching. It's on Apple TV. Seinfeld, love Seinfeld. We are, my wife and I are just slowly watching the whole series again. And we're on series 7, episode 17. And this is in Hulu. So the Apple TV app will kind of keep track of this. So the idea behind this is you can basically do everything through the Apple TV app. You can even browse the different networks. So when I go down here, and you're going to see the different networks here, I want to see what's on Paramount Plus, which is the old CBS All Access. I can actually just start watching any one of these shows. I never left the Apple TV app. We will probably, let's see here, I'm assuming we have HBO in here. Here's, I can watch Tenet. That's, I believe, through HBO. Here are popular shows. I have sports. Here's my HBO Max. So we can basically do everything through the Apple TV app with one catch. Probably the most popular, what everyone most likely does have, is Netflix, right? They've been around forever. It's a great service. A lot of good stuff on there. Netflix doesn't play well with the Apple TV app. So what has to happen is these companies need to share that data with Apple, so then Apple can put it into this app here. And I can browse around and I'll do it all through the Apple TV app. Netflix doesn't do that. You will not find any Netflix material in here. So if I'm watching a series in Netflix and I'm done with a particular episode, I'm not going to find it in up next. What I have to do is, unfortunately, go back over to Netflix and do it through there. So it works with most everything, but it doesn't, the big one is it doesn't work with Netflix. I'm not a big fan of Prime Video's app. I think it's poorly written. It doesn't follow Apple's guidelines, this, that, and the other. So what I will do a lot of times is browse it through the Apple TV to find stuff. What HBO just admitted, they made a major mistake. Just in the last couple weeks, they updated their app and came out with their own video player. It was horrible. It was tough to get to closed captions. A lot of people complained, and HBO fixed it last week. And they said, we went back to Apple's player to play our videos. We're really sorry about that. Thanks for letting, they were really upfront, and it was nice to see them, admit, we tried something, we made the wrong decision, and we're going back. So it's Apple TV app is really probably the go-to for the most part, which is why they put it onto the remote, so easy to get at. So if you want to go to the Apple TV app, like I said, you just hit the TV button on the remote, takes you to the Apple TV app. If you want to go to the home screen, you hit it again, and it takes you to the home screen. You can change that behavior. Let's say you don't use the Apple TV app. You want to have that home button take you to this home screen. I don't want to take it to the Apple TV app. This is how I actually used to have it set up. I've gotten used to the Apple TV app now to where I'm like, okay, but I'm one of those people like, I want to go back to the home screen. I'll decide where I want to go, kind of thing. Well, what you can do is go to the settings app and then go to remotes. And in here, let's see here. I believe it's in here. Oh, yeah, TV button. So you can see it says Apple TV app. I can actually set this to the home screen. So now if we look at it, you're going to see TV button, home screen. Let's go to an app here. We'll go to movies. If you remember, last time I hit that TV button, it took me to the Apple TV app. Now when I hit that button, it takes me to the home screen. So you don't necessarily have to have it go to the app. It goes to that by default, but you can have it go to your home screen if you would rather do that. And then you can decide where you want to take it. Nice little trick there. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, speaking of remotes, if you have one of these, monstrous thin black remotes, what you can do, there it is. You can add a remote because, that remote's going to get lost in the couch. You can't find it. It's, you have all the lights off. It's dark in your living room. Guess what color the remote is? Black. You're not going to find it. You have to turn the lights on to find it, this, that, and the other. But you probably, in most cases, do have your iPhone nearby you or your iPad. Well, you can actually control the Apple TV through your phone. And you can do this through the control center. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. I'm going to show you how you set this up. Before I do that, I'm kind of rambling on here. Does anyone have any questions, anything like that? We'll take a little pause here. I'll have my last sip of coffee. Okay.
Randy put in the chat about hooking your Apple TV to your router. And I think that's a great idea if it's nearby.
Yes. My router is right next to my Apple TV, so I have it plugged in. I would absolutely recommend, as Randy did, absolutely recommend plugging in via Ethernet, especially if now I'm only streaming HD stuff, which isn't really that big, but if you have a 4K TV, you're using some bandwidth. And if you're using Wi-Fi, you should be using a mesh network, and it should be close to your router, or but by far, if you can, use Ethernet. Absolutely use Ethernet. All right, so we are going to go to my phone here. All right, everyone can see my phone.
Yes.
When I go to my settings app and we go to the control center, what we can do is we can customize that control center. We can actually set what controls we see in here. You're going to see I have these rows here down at the bottom. I can set what controls are there. I can even change the order of them. So with the Apple TV, what we do is we add a remote to this. So then I always have access to my Apple TV from my iPhone. And the way that you do that is you go to the settings app and then you go to your control center. You're going to see we have included controls. So these are all the controls that are included. Below that, we have more controls. So these are the ones that are not included. So we can add any one of these or all of them. Well, no, I wouldn't say all, but the one that we're going to look at is this Apple TV remote. When I tap on that, you're going to see it now adds it to my included. It's at the very bottom. So when I open up my control center, it's going to be at the very bottom. If you use your Apple TV remote on your iPhone quite a bit, if you find out that you need to access it quite a bit, I would recommend putting it at the top or at the bottom so you always know where it's at. To put it at the top, all you have to do is just drag it up here. And now it's going to be at the top. So now, when I go to my control center, we have a nice little remote here. And all I have to do is just tap on it. And I've got my controls. So you can't see my Apple TV, but if I were to swipe across here, it is actually controlling my Apple TV. I have Siri, I have play pause. I can go to my home screen or Apple TV, however you have it set. I have search, and all you have to do is just tap in here to select anything, just like the trackpad on the remote control. When you are finished, you just swipe up and you're back at your phone. So you can be in any app. And if I was in my Sonos app, I need to control my TV. I just swipe down, hit the remote. I can control my TV. So if you lose your remote, I would actually recommend placing this on your phone. So then if you do lose your remote, you still do have access to it. And you can do this with the iPad too. Same thing, just go to the settings app and go to Control Center and you can customize it. That way, what you're able to do when you lose that pesky little remote control, because it slips in between the cushions of the couch and you can't find it, you can actually just go to your iPhone and use that for your remote. Let's see here. What else do I have here? Oh, force quitting apps. I'm going to share my screen here. Once again. So let's say you're in an app, and some apps are more buggier than others. I will go with HBO. It's pretty good now because they did their update, but that's a buggy app. Another app that is buggy, Peacock. Now it's gotten better. Peacock is a relatively new app, being that it used to be CBS All Access. It's quite a bit different. And when it first came out, it was buggy. Shows wouldn't start. You just had little issues here and there with it. What you can do is force quit an app. To force quit an app, let's go and open up Peacock here. I'll open up here. While it's opening up, I'm looking at the chat here. Does Find My work for the remote? No, it does not. That's probably the biggest complaint I've read about this remote is why didn't they put that chip in there? Now, what you could do, we're getting back to my black tape on my old remote, put an AirTag on the back of it. You could do something like that. Just tape it on the back or double stick tape or something. Maybe somebody will come out with a case for it that has a holder for an AirTag. That's what I really want for my GoPros, and I would actually like to have it for my AirPods. Apple has the Find My for the AirPods Pro. It finds a case, but I have 5% success rate when I don't know. It just never finds them. So I would like to see a case for my AirPods Pro, like a silicone case or something, and then I could slip an AirTag in it. I don't know if anybody's ever played with those AirTags, but it truly is like, holy crap, is this nice. I use it for, we have a Chevy Volt, and my wife constantly loses a case. She just puts them on a counter somewhere. So now I put an AirTag on it, and we can easily find them through that AirTag. So hopefully, maybe we'll see a case for it down the road. Somebody will come up with a case.
Oh, There's many out there already, and
Is there?
actually, Davis just put a link in the chat.
Sweet.
People are printing.
I was
printing
3D printer.
3D printing these cases like crazy,
Yeah.
and looks like someone's already jumped on that bandwagon with the
Sweet.
AirTag.
Those,
Next one looks
like I
cool.
said, AirTags are really it's really
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
Oh, force quitting app. So I needed to force quit this app. It's not working. It won't start a show. To force quit an app, all you have to do is double click on the TV button on the remote, and you're going to see I can actually switch between my different apps, just like on an iPhone. And watch what happens when I swipe up. I force quit it. So that's how you can force quit an app in the Apple TV. Just double click on the home button 2 times, 1, 2. Find the app you want to force quit, swipe up. And then you can reopen it. And in most cases, it will start up again and it'll be fine. Most cases. So let's see here. We're going to take a look at the settings here, see if there's any good tips in there. We start wrapping up here. When you're looking at general, you can set how long the Apple TV stays awake. I have mine set for an hour. If you don't like to use Siri, you can turn Siri off. And then you have your Siri history, keyboard and dictation. Some nice little things here. Usually you just set these once and set it and forget it kind of thing. Here we have our user information. Video and audio. There's some little stuff in here. So I have resolution here. Like I said, I have a plasma TV, so it's a 1080p. I am using the HDMI out, so you can kind of set how it's all going in there. Match content. The Apple TV will use your selected display format, and it will play the content. It won't change the format. It'll force it to, everything will be consistent. I like to have it off because I want to have it in the original aspect ratio. So I just leave this off. Audio format, digital. So I have a Sonos system, and so I can set that to using surround sound. If this is what my wife would like, but I don't. I like to have a theater experience. I like things a little bit loud. Plus, my hearing isn't the best. So every once in a while, she'll complain about this. But what you can do is reduce the loud sounds. So if you're watching a movie and it has a lot of explosions in it, a good action flick, you may want to reduce the loud sounds, and those explosions won't be so loud. Clicks for navigation, you know, where you hear the click, 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 or the pop, pop, pop kind of thing. Subtitle and language, I really should set that to English automatically. Because when you select the subtitles, what you're able to do is set what language. So I'm going to set it for it's English all the time. This one is new in iOS 14.5. So this is new in the last couple months. Color balance. With color balance, what you are able to do is actually calibrate your television. This is something that's really, really cool. Now, before I got into publishing, I was into car stereos, video, audio. So, you know, my first love, it truly is audio and video and things like that. I have 2 subwoofers in the house. You know, I've always liked this. So hence I have a plasma TV. You know, it's not everyone agrees, but for the most part, you know, plasma TVs have the best picture. They don't make them anymore because LCDs they're just so inexpensive. But LCDs can't replicate the dynamic range of what a plasma TV can. So what I've done with my TV is I went and calibrated. I found an app that I could calibrate it. Or if you have you know, a PlayStation 5 or anything like that, when you're playing a game, you can always calibrate it. Make sure that the blacks are black and the whites are white. You know, you just go through and calibrate it. Well, now the Apple TV can do that for you as well. LCDs, especially the inexpensive ones, are not known to have a great picture. cat wants to jump on my lap here. So what you can do now is take your iPhone and color balance it. Now you do have to have a relatively new iPhone. I'm going to click on this here, and I'm not going to be able to show you how this all works because you can't actually see my TV, but you need an iPhone with Face ID, and it has to be running iOS 14.5. Then all you have to do is just bring your phone up to the TV. My TV is displaying some weird stuff right now, and I bring up my iPhone to it, the camera, front-facing camera, I believe it is. And then what it's doing is it's going to color balance it. It's going to look at everything. It takes not real long. And you're going to be able to see the difference between that. So you can compare, is the picture any better or not? In my case, it wasn't that much better, but I already calibrated my TV. So it made me feel good that, okay, I must have calibrated it right, because I trust Apple. I think that they're going to look at that and be like, yeah, this is what it needs to be set. And mine wasn't necessarily any better. So, but if you have an LCD TV, this may make the picture, Apple says it can make the picture look quite a bit better. So what you may want to do is try this out. And again, all you have to do is just go to your settings, go to color balance. You do need to have an iPhone with Face ID, and just follow the instructions. And if you don't want to use it, as what I did, you can easily just turn it off. You'll be able to compare the difference, and if it's not any better, turn it off. But there's a chance that it could be better. Now, this only affects anything that is viewed on your Apple TV. So if you have other sources such as a Roku or anything like that, or if you actually watch, the Apple TV or your TV, the smart TV, you are not going to get the benefits of this. This only affects anything through the Apple TV. But it's a nice little thing. Same thing with wireless audio sync. If you use an AirPlay, and the speakers, the audio seems to be delayed, the lip syncing is off. What you can do is use your iPhone to figure out, or the Apple TV will figure out what type of delay needs to be added or reduced to make everything in sync when you're listening to your TV. Then you have your zoom and color bars as well. But those two are probably my two things that I tell people. Well, not so much the audio sync, because not a lot of people have the HomePod speakers, but remotes and devices, you can hook up other remotes. I actually have a Harmony Smart remote that we use as well. So I can use this remote. I can use a Harmony remote. You can set it all up through Bluetooth here. This is also where you can set up other speakers to listen to it. This is volume control. I can set, I have Sonos, so I can set it up to where it controls the volume on the Sonos. So you can have the remote control other devices as well. We have some accessibility options here. We can zoom in, we can make the text bold, we can increase the contrast, add audio description. So there are some accessibility options that may help. Subtitle and caption, like I said, I use that. So I could actually just turn that on and it'll always be on. I'm going to leave it off because I don't like when news is on or anything like that. I don't necessarily have it, but you can turn it on all the time, and then you can change the style. You don't like how it is, change how the style is. You need a little bigger text, make it bigger. And use a transparent background. And apps, automatically update apps. I would recommend leaving this on. I do not have this on with my iPhone. I like to see what the updates are on the iPhone. But with the Apple TV apps, I do leave it on. I want those apps automatically updated. And then it will automatically install apps. If you download something from one if you have two Apple TVs, you can have it automatically install the apps on the other TV if you want. I only have one Apple TV, so I have it do that. We have different app settings here. Show the sports score. the top shelf is what to watch. I can change that to up next. Games up next. You know, if you're a big sports, connect to Apple TV. So we have different settings for each one of these apps. And then your network. And if you, oops, I just put it to sleep. Hopefully not. I meant to click on system. With system, what we're able to do is shut it down. I might have to go back. I think I just put my Apple TV to sleep. Oops. So while that thing is hopefully waking back up. Yeah, somebody said color bars are useful to check how well the color balance worked. Very true. And my parents have a hard time following what item is selected on the Apple TV. We're talking about accessibility. Switch it to high contrast. They changed to their system as well. I did it on my iPhone, actually. Same thing. I have high contrast set up on my iPhone. It makes the grays a little darker and the white's a little, you know, just adds a little more contrast, but it doesn't do it to make it still looks good and all that. If Apple TV is connected to the surround sound amp, will it affect color balance? It shouldn't. Sound and color balance are completely separate, so it shouldn't. I thought I would wrap up with my experience on cutting the cable. Beth and I cut the cable probably about 6 months ago. Our cable bill was about $150 a month, 100 something like that. And when I cut the cable, we just have 100 megabyte service. We don't need a lot of bandwidth here. I do have a PlayStation 5. It probably hasn't been booted up. My wife would kill me if she heard me say this, but it probably hasn't been booted up in a month and a half, or she probably knows. One of those impulse buys. It was there. I could get it. I bought it, thinking I'm going to become a gamer. I know a lot of people that are gamers, and it never came to be. 100 megabyte service is fine for what we do. And so we decided to cut the cable, and our internet is about $60 a month now. Saying all that, we have to add services. We have to, if we want to watch TV, first of all, I love Apple TV Plus. I think they're the new HBO kind of thing. They got some good stuff on there. So we have to pay for that. Now, granted, Apple gave everyone a year free, but that's going to, at least in my case, maybe you want to check with if you're viewing it for free. Last July was when they gave everyone another year. So when I looked at my subscriptions, they're going to start charging me $6 a month next month for it. We pay for Hulu. We pay for HBO. I do have Sling. I'm not sold on it yet. That's a little expensive. A lot of these are, anywhere from $5 to $10, $12 a month. Sling TV is $30 a month. But you add it all up, and all of a sudden it starts creeping up towards that, that cable TV bill of $150, $160 a month. I'm not quite there. If I were to add it all up, like say Netflix is $12 a month. HBO is it $5 a month. All Access is $10 a month. I think I'm at about $120 a month. So I'm still saving money with it. And what we found out, we've kind of had this idea for a while to cut the cable. And what we found out, we just didn't watch TV. Not anything. People would talk about HGTV, and we have a lot of friends that watch that, and we don't. We are more, let's see what's on Netflix. Let's rent a movie from Apple. Let's, if we're going to just put something on, we'll put Seinfeld on. We were pretty good candidates for cutting the cable. We didn't watch live TV. The only thing that we missed is the news, 6 o'clock news, local news. And I do like watching like NBC News at 6:30. And, we like the occasional Wheel of Fortune, and Jeopardy kind of thing at 7 o'clock. That's our live TV. Those 2 hours from 6 to 8 o'clock. If we're, if we're sitting down, that's what I can almost guarantee. We those were the shows that we watched. But when you cut the cable, you do not get those local channels anymore. Now I can get them through Hulu, but then the bill goes up to $60 a month. I can get them through YouTube TV. The bill goes up to $60 a month. So then you're right back in at square one. So we decided to let's just not do it. And what I did do is subscribe to CBS All Access. So I'm going to see if my Apple TV is booted back up again, because looks like it has. Okay, we're good. So I'm going to share my screen again. Because what I'm able to do is get local channels, at least through CBS. As far as I know, ABC and NBC do not do this, but CBS does. CBS is part of Paramount Plus. So when I go to my Apple TV, I do not go to Paramount Plus. They might have it through Paramount Plus. But like I said, I pretty much do a lot of my stuff right through this Apple TV app. So watch here. I go to Apple TV app. I can go to my different things here. And let's say it's 7 o'clock and I want to watch Wheel of Fortune. That's when it's on over here. It's on our local CBS channel. So I go to Paramount Plus. It's going to give me all their shows and all that good stuff, But at the very bottom, there it is, live. That's our local channel here, WWMT. I pop that on. We'll see if it comes across here. Yeah, can't be played because I'm sharing this. But that would be live TV. So now what I'm able to do is I watch CBS News at 6:30. It's not bad, but I watch CBS News, and then Wheel of Fortune comes on, and then Jeopardy comes on. Still doesn't help us out with our local TV. I prefer Channel 8, Wood TV, as opposed to CBS for local news. Local news here in where I live, West Michigan, Channel 3 is Kalamazoo. So I would rather have Grand Rapids, which is Wood TV, Channel 8. So then what we do, Channel 8 does broadcast their news on their website. I can't browse the website using Apple TV. I'd love for them to add a browser to this, but they don't have that there. But what I can do is browse it on my iPad and my iPhone, and then you do an AirPlay, and then it shows on there. So it's not elegant, but we can watch what we want to watch still for the most part. So we really haven't had an issue with cutting the cable. And in fact, what it does do is it gives us a little bit more flexibility.
Dan, there is a service, I'm sure you're familiar with it, called Locast, which I'm not sure it's not available in your area.
It's not available.
It is available in Chicago. So
there you go. Perfect. Yeah.
So that's $5 a month, and you get access without being nagged with their begging for you to donate, and you can easily use that, and it's a great service, and it works, and they have an Apple TV app. So.
Oh, perfect. There you go. Yeah. So what he's talking, there is an app. It's not available to us. I did look into that. I forget I'm talking to Chicago. So yes, most likely. Yeah. So you would be able to get all your local channels through that, which is a nice way.
It's got a really good interface. I've been using it. I just wanted to try the free version. It's just that they want you to donate.
Right.
I mean, and I still don't understand their business model, because there was service like that before that got the FCC put them out of business, and
right.
But Locast keeps expanding to more and more markets too. So I'm surprised that Grand Rapids or Kalamazoo hasn't been hit yet.
Yeah, we're not a big enough market yet. Well, hopefully it'll come.
Yeah.
And I could do HD, an antenna, but Channel 3 is just far enough. We are just, I don't know if it's the dunes or what that we have around here, but it's some of the stations are questionable. I'll end with what you may want to do is look at some of other services that you have. A lot of these will have free offers. I don't pay for Disney Plus. I get it through Verizon.
Yep.
My Paramount Plus here. I actually don't pay Paramount Plus. I pay Apple for it. Apple gives me Paramount Plus is $9 a month, but if I bought it through Apple TV, I get it for like $6 a month. I don't remember how I did that exactly, but when I look at my subscription, every month I go through and look at my subscriptions, as I recommend everybody to do. You know, this with cutting the cable, I will go with this. With at least with Comcast, you're under contract, and
Right.
you can't, you know, without. What I really like about this, so Beth, my wife, likes to watch certain shows like Stars. She likes Outlander. When Outlander is on, I'll subscribe for 2 or 3 months. Nothing else on there that interests us, I stop subscribing. We can stop and go at any time with any one of these. We're not under contract. So if you manage it, you can actually save quite a bit of money just you subscribe for a couple months while the show's on. Let's see, what am I watching? Oh, Yellowstone. So I watched the season ending, the last episode last night. Now we watch other stuff, but let's just say it was on one of these obscure apps. What I could do is stop subscribing until the next season of Yellowstone comes out, and then I can resubscribe to it. So it's really really nice. In that
Kind of a cat and mouse game.
Yes. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to go and look at your subscriptions. I recommend doing it once a month. You can do it on the iPhone, the iPad, but just look at your subscriptions. That's the other nice thing about this is everything's done through Apple. So all your subscriptions are done, you know, when you subscribe through here. At least for me, it seems to be maybe not all of them. I shouldn't say that. HBO is not done through them. But anyway, you know, just kind of look at your subscriptions once a month, and you know, if you're not using it, unsubscribe. You can always resubscribe, but also look at some of the other services that you're using, and you can get some of these for free. So,
Absolutely.
That's pretty much what I got. So, anybody have any questions or?
Well, there were a lot of comments about putting up an antenna on the roof for local channels, but I don't see any questions at this point, Dan.
I wanted to ask a question.
Mhm.
What I meant with my other question is, will the phone do the color calibration if the Apple TV is in an audio amplifier HDMI, along with the TV being in another slot HDMI? Does that, I mean, because I have everything set up for the 5.1 sound.
Yeah. Let's see. So you have, let's break this down. You have your Apple TV going HDMI out to your TV. And then
No, HDMI out to the amplifier.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, it will. Because what it'll do is it changes it. Sorry, cat there. Yes, it will work through that.
Oh, okay. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yep.
It's what it's doing is you're actually going to the TV itself to calibrate it. So it's the TV that really where it measures the colors and the balance. So it shouldn't matter how you have it hooked up.
Yeah, it could even, and most, you know, I'm not saying this happens at all. It doesn't, but let's just, you know, hypothetically, let's say your receiver went and changed the colors around. It would even correct that, because exactly like David's saying, it looks at the source and it looks at the output, and then whatever needs to be fixed, it'll fix it. And like I say, you can try it. You don't have to use it, but I would recommend everyone to try it because, you know, especially with the inexpensive TVs, they're not known to have a good picture, and you might just have a better picture. You know, primarily the blacks will be more black, and the whites will be more white. Typically, they're a little more gray, you know, that kind of thing. So,
well, one of the issues I have is like when the movie's playing the action sequence at night, okay, it's like 80% black, and then you know there's action because of the sound, but you can't see who's fighting what.
Right. That
So-
could, you know, I don't know if it'll do anything with that. That might be a refresh rate. That's the
Yeah.
LCDs, the newer ones. How old is the TV?
It's brand new. It's
Brand new?
100.
Okay.
It's 240, I think. Or
Okay, no, that's pretty good.
high
Um,
refresh.
Yeah, I'm old school with I love my plasma TV. If that thing were to go, it's about 10 years old. It's a Panasonic, but it's based on the
Yeah.
old Pioneer technology, which was the best of the best. I don't know what I would do. I'd probably cry.
Get on eBay.
OLED TVs are supposed to be good, but I don't know. Yeah, you might see me in the corner somewhere.
All right, do
Okay,
we have
Jeff.
any other questions for Dan?
I think we can wrap it up.
I'll add that just throwing this out there before I joined, I did set up, actually while we were talking in the first part there, if anybody wants to join my site, danstutorials.com, if you use the coupon code SCAU, that's your, right?
Yes.
SCAU as a coupon code, you'll save 25% off of any plan. And it is on renewals as well. So, down the road, if you're still with me, you like what you see, the discount is, as long as you're a member, that discount will always apply. You do get a renewal before it renews, and there's a 2-week free trial on the plan. So, if you want to try it out, I thought I'd throw that in there. So,
Well, thank you very much, Dan.
Yeah, thanks. I put that in the chat.
Thank you, Dan, for that
Yep.
offer. I love the service, and
Yeah.
I will use the discount when I renew.
yeah, it should. Now, for people that are members, it should apply. I set it up to where existing users can use it. So if you run into a problem with it, let me know. But it should apply to existing users as well. It does prorate it and all that other good stuff. So,
All right. Thanks, Dan. Really appreciate your presentation, and thank you, Dave, for your presentation on
Thanks.
WWDC. And with that, we're going to have some announcements now. First of all, our next meeting on June 26th, we're going to have Margaret Martin is going to be covering Apple's contacts application, which has been requested by many people in the club. So we're going to get that covered, all the ins and outs about that. And we have sent out a survey to the members to request any questions ahead of time so that Margaret can come up with good answers for everybody. So that was sent out, I think, via email. David, is that correct?
It was, and I also just posted it again in the chat.
Okay, so it's in the chat here. So please go to either your email or the chat here and send any questions about the Contacts app to Margaret, and she'll be prepared to answer those. So that would be excellent. Thank you, folks. The next special interest group meeting will be the Photo SIG, which Frank, Jerry, and I run. And that'll be next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. And we're going to be covering, Jerry will mainly be talking about this, but we'll be covering how to use your iPhone to shoot fireworks. And we'll be talking also about shooting macro, which is the very close-up shots using your iPhone. So if you got flowers or bees or anything else you wanted to take shots of, Jerry will be covering that too.
And make sure we got to get the flyer out. We'll be sending out an email to everybody so you can make sure you sign up.
Yep. Thank you, Dave. Also, as we do every year, the club will be going on hiatus during the months of July and August. So there will be no main meetings, or in this case, no SIG meetings either for the month of July or August. The Photo SIG is looking into having a in-person SIG meeting on a Saturday morning at the Grove in Glenview, where we can all go out there with our cameras and teach each other how to take different kinds of shots. The Grove is an excellent place. They have historical buildings and like a locksmith area and blacksmith and lots of gardens with flowers and stuff to take pictures of, and wildlife running around. I've seen deer, and I saw an eagle there one time. So it's a great place to go, and it's free to get in. So we'll be sending out announcements about that. The rest of the SIGs, the iOS SIG and the Tech SIG, do have the hiatus for the 2 months, and they'll be back in September.
Yes.
Or, one or the other in September to start, but we'll have announcements about that. Also, the wrap-up newsletter, we are combining May and June, and that will be coming out at the end of June, early July, to kind of wrap up everything that happened in these last 2 months and look forward to getting back together in September. And that's all the announcements I have right now. So I'd like to thank all the members for joining. And if we had any guests, thank you for joining. And again, thank you, Dan and David, for your presentations. I highly recommend Dan's service. I love it. And
Me too.
yeah. I ask everybody, including Dan, to stick around for the afterglow, and we'll have open mic, and we'll, run through lots of different topics. If you have any additional questions for Dan, and if he's there, we'll run that by him. So please stick around for the afterglow, which will start right after Dave stops recording this.
Yes. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, and I'll see you in the afterglow.